Welcome to the tutorial on user fields and the other preferences that we haven't covered before. And just want to say before we get started that the Keyword Perfect has always been designed to try to accommodate the submission needs of all of our photographers and all the many different stock agencies. So we have included a lot of fields. For instance, over here are the Alamy licensing information. But we've also found that we need to add other fields that that the user wants that we don't know. So we now allow the ability to have the user add any field in which they want. So let's go to Preferences and we'll look at that. Go over to User Fields and you see you have your fields here and you can add them. Just type in the name and then you can connect it to a field in Lightroom. So we'll go and connect it to that one, and then I hit the button Add Field, so that it will import and export to the Lightroom field, and then I can add another one. We'll add anything I want, and I don't need to connect that to a specific Lightroom field. I just can add whatever I want. Now, important to remember that the order in which they are entered is the order in which the boxes will be exported in the CSV file. So remember that while you're entering them. And if we go here to last image keyworded, let's go here, and here the boxes appear, and you can add any information that you want. And it's treated much like the licensing information from Alamy, so you can click on this and copy this field to any of the selected field images that you want, and you can delete out any you want. And so it's just like any of these other Alamy fields. You can share it with other images. And you can add as many as you wish. And when you want to export it, you just go down to the Export Keywords and Fields to CSV file. And we'll deal more with the exporting in a later time. Alright, so these user fields are open to you to use. You can connect them to the Lightroom fields, and you can import and export to them, and you can export the fields out to a CSV file. Alright, now let's go look at the other preferences. Basically, we'll run through the general preferences. Before we talked about these fields and their connection to Getty compliant keywording and Alamy, and the using of essential fields. I just want to remind you that if you're going to use these fields, then you have to have one field filled in. And if you're not going to use these fields, all the numbers should be empty. All the boxes should be empty of any numbers. Alright, so let's start with the caption character limit. That means you can give a limit to the number of characters in your caption. Characters around the multi-term keywords. This is, you can put quotes or a square bracket around your multi-term keywords. This was set up for Alamy, but they never instituted that change to their search engine, and I've heard that they won't be. But in case you want to use this for another stockhouse, you can use it. The keyword separator is the character or characters that separate keywords. They're different for each stock agency, so it's good to have the ability here to change it. The keyword sorting, you can do customizable, which we've talked about, using a weighted vocabulary where the words of one category can be made more important than others, and so be at the top of your keywording list, or you can use alphabetical. The other thing is that you can use plural keywords. Just click on here. This use confirmation dialogues. There's a lot of dialog boxes in the program to help keep you from making mistakes. Once you become good at the program, you may not want to have all those warning messages. You can just unclick that. The default black-white color entry is something if all the images you're doing are black and white or they're color images, then you can set this to the type of generator that you're using, and the program fills it in automatically for you so that you don't have to enter it. And you can choose none or black and white, whichever you want. Alright, so up here all these preferences are in relationship to thumbnails, and there's the square image aspect tolerance, and you put your mouse over the label, it'll tell you more about it. And width to height, and number of thumbnails is simply the number of thumbnails that you want to see in the film strip at the top of the keywording page. The thumbnail size is the size of the preview that you're bringing in. The smaller it is, the more pixelated it'll be, but the faster it'll import. The larger it is, the better it'll look, but the slower it'll import. We have found that 320 by 240 is the best size. Web thumbnail width is the number of pixels that you want the thumbnail to be. And finally, we have a whole list of options for when you're copying generators. That is, when you're copying generators from one image to another, or you're cloning the generators from one image to many images. You have the option of copying the Alamy license data to the other images, or copying the image note, the photographer, category, caption, or if you don't want to copy them, you just unclick them. And when you clear the generators from an image, you have the option of whether you also want to clear the Alamy data, clear the note, and all these other things. And finally, you also have the option of clearing the format and color when clearing all the generators. In other words, when you clear the generators from an image, you can either choose to clear out the format, horizontal or vertical, and the color information. So once again, you can clear out those generators if you wish, and it's all part of this ability of the program to allow you to customize it to the way you want. So if you have a question about how you can enter data, or how you can format keywords, you just go to preferences and you can look around to see if you can change what you don't like and add what you want. So thank you very much.